But we got the same.
He likes to see too.
Well, let me.
Hold on. Wait.
That sharp white coat.
Wait. Okay, Grandpa. What do you see in front of you?
I see me.
That's good. that's better looking than me. So I mean, you're already in the win column.
But I had you and Crystal, and then all of a sudden y'all disappeared.
Well, we see you. Let me see. On your all you see is a picture of yourself. You don't see nothing else.
It say FaceTime HD camera built in.
Well, don't do nothing with FaceTime. Don't do nothing with FaceTime. Just exit out of that.
I didn't exit into it.
All right. Well, just we're gonna wing it. We got a local no, you know what? We got a national celebrity coming back on the show. Auntie has she got a shirt, a sweater vest on. Fitness at a game has done well. Everyone, the butter cookie season sales have pushed them into a new stratosphere. Welcome for your viewing pleasure. It used to be Khaleesi. It's just Crystal now because she's all about her business. There's no games. Fitness is not a game. Neither is her business. It's not a game. It's all about it.
Oh my goodness!
We got Grandpa. Grandpa even put a jacket on. He got his
cap there. Fitness is not a game.
Oh, you got your Scully that too?
You got the merch.
I see it. I like it.
I ordered a workout shirt last night for me and Ashley.
I saw it. I
remember I had got in what's it called? I got an email about buying some Under Armour, and I was just about to buy Under Armour, right? And I was like, that makes clothes. So I just let me go over here and get some apparel for working out and everything.
I'm surprised you didn't get the melon and the muscles. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised you didn't get the melon and the muscles for Black History Month.
The fitness is I had to get the flagship. You gotta get the flagship stuff first and then branch out. Because I actually like the branding of your main stuff a little bit better.
Okay.
That's just me. I like it. It looks a little like hey, dang, that's different.
I receive it. I like it.
Let me see. Well, let's beer in. I think Uncle Pooh Bear said he might join. But Grandpa, what you got to drink today?
I got some good old green tea.
Oh.
What?
You don't got the beer that I brought you last time?
Oh no, it disappeared. Somebody got it.
I bring Grandpa a 6-pack of beer so he can have it for the show.
That was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, 3 weeks ago?
We didn't have no show last week.
Yeah, no, remember, I came over your house like on Saturday or something and brought you some beer.
No, that was canned beer. You brought me a can and you had a can. We drank it.
Well, but I remember you still had the other bottles of beer that I brought too.
That's that Bernsteiner.
Yeah, it was like 4 bottles left.
It disappeared on me. Somebody went into my secret refrigerator.
Somebody.
All right. Okay, that's cool. I just have to bring some more again. That's all right. See, I thought I was gonna be smooth and bring some different beer for Grandpa to try, but it's all right. He's got green tea, so that's
green tea.
And that's interesting because
I green tea.
I like green tea, but it ain't beer, Pops. It ain't beer.
The rating is pretty good too. I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5 out of 10.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Okay, I can dig it. What about you, Auntie? What you got today?
I have the 3 Floyds barrel aged behemoth. It's a barley wine. I like barley wines, especially this time of year. So that's why I decided to grab that one.
I dig that.
I love a good barley wine. Just because. Ooh.
No, barley wine is like that bitter thing you had that when as you affectionately call him, CC was on the show in Grandma's living room that one time.
Which one?
The thing that Grandpa said it wasn't beer. It came in a bottle.
That was you talking about the Goose Island?
Yeah. I thought that was a barley wine.
No, those are stouts.
No, the Goose Island. It was like it tasted a little sour.
Yeah, those are stouts. Those are still stouts, though.
Really? I thought stouts had to be like chocolatey or coffee. Like
no, and this like barley wines, you could taste the caramel more. They're a little sweeter. So yeah, that's why I rocks with them. So Look at that. Ooh.
Yeah, the question. Can y'all see each other
Yeah, we can see you.
and see me too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see. Just from the smell alone, that gave me a little goosebumps. So I'm thinking at least a 6'5" starting. Smells good.
Grandma looking perturbed. He's like, "You drinking 6'5"? It's like I'm drinking green tea.
What was the name of that again?
Oh no. This might be a 7'5".
Oh,
Yeah, it's called the barrel aged behemoth.
Mm-hmm.
The barley wine ale by Three Floyds. Three Floyds is out of Indiana. Yeah, this is good. This is real good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find an ABV on it. 13.6. Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? Because I'm about to mess with Uncle Pooper. He didn't got his name up there. What is it? Black History Freddy.
It's my month, man. It's my turn.
It's on there.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed that little conversation we had yesterday.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go, Uncle Pooper.
What's that?
There you go, Uncle Pooper. Change my name.
Black Future Month. Yeah. Hey, they're both important.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw someone start hashtagging that. I was like, that's cute. That's a nice thing to say. I like that.
Hey, I wonder if this thing says setting. If I click setting off, maybe I'd get into the thing.
Yeah, just close the setting box.
Yeah, that
You can't see setting. You should have just left it.
No, if he closes the settings box, he should be able to see it.
Oh yeah, if that's what he's seeing himself, that's why he's seeing himself, because he's seeing his camera is telling him where his settings are. Okay, so that's you're right.
So it should be fine. So, but yeah, Uncle Pooh, beer in since we're waiting for Grandpa to finish his settings.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's why I couldn't see. I was on settings.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
The worldwide stout, Utopus barrel aged worldwide stout.
Okay.
I believe it's like 18%.
Wow, man, you high on the hog.
Yeah, why not? Chris already had a beer, so I couldn't split one of our big ones.
That's the brother's famous word, high on the hog.
Hey, why if you're gonna get on the hog, well, let's get high on it.
Just get high, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's been a good month, so be all right.
Let's see if Auntie Khaleesi no more. She going by her full government name. She don't got a nickname like us no more. She professional.
Since we gonna keep on.
She must have had an interview on StreamYard. Had to change it.
You saw the she took her trophy from behind her too. Like ain't no worldly possessions over here. It's just
yeah, I didn't see it. What come you talk to me?
Yeah, the trophy all gone.
All right.
The trophy. Auntie done took her trophy away. She all professional now. She big time.
Now check it.
Okay.
Check it. Check the name.
Okay. Now I see it. And now we back to being a cast member.
Woo! That smell like magic.
Oh my goodness.
What's the rating on that?
I'm gonna go with an 8.
8.
He's like, I'm not my son.
At the end, 8.
We could blow up Pop's mind today.
You got to remember, Pops. This is like $12 a 12 ounce. It ain't cheap beer.
$12 a $12 ounce, eh?
$1 an ounce, man.
Yeah, he's like the math don't add up.
The math ain't math.
They ain't math.
They ain't math. He's like, I can do with $1 back in 1957.
Man,
that was rent for a month.
Yeah, I was speaking to the school this week, and I mentioned Dad bought the house. Mom and Dad bought the house in 1955 for $11,000. Man, they almost fell out their chair. I said, hey, $11,000 was a lot different money back then. Now that was a whole boatload.
Could have got one cheaper than that,
Wow.
Wow.
They had some over there for $8,000.
Truth be
I
told,
was
you
on
can-
the hog,
Yeah, you was high on the hog, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to buy in that circle area over there. What them called?
At that particular time, people didn't stay no too long because they couldn't afford that $73 a month.
Oh,
Wow.
it was 50-something dollars. They went up on the taxes, and that other little $10 made a hell of a lot of difference.
Wow.
Man,
I'm
Those
thinking,
were
I'm,
the days, you know.
I'm thinking about like, was it the 70s or 80s when Grandpa paid off that house, and he went to the bank with $73 in his hand, like this is the last payment, just threw it on the table.
in change, he gave it to him in nickels.
You know what saved me?
What?
Inflation.
Mm.
You buy a house for that, and then all of a sudden you get a couple more dollars on your pay. After a while, to get to the place where you don't even want to pay it all. You want to put your money in the bank, get more interest.
Wow.
I mean, that's interesting you said that, because like that's like they say in times of hyperinflation, the rich go borrow money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what
Inflation, and the little working man, you know, he glad to see prices go up. I mean, it's paid. Now your pay got to go up with the time, you know.
Yeah.
If my pay stayed at $1.80-something an hour, I'd have been in trouble. But it went up to about what, $3 or $4 an hour.
Oh man.
Wow.
So that's what saved me by getting a pay raise in conjunction with the inflation.
Yeah, and the cost of your home stayed the same.
Right, the cost of the home stayed the same.
Well, that's interesting. Let me beer in before we get too deep.
I need it.
I got a. Is this called a Lost Palate? I think Ashley brought this.
Lost palate. Boy.
Lost Palate. There we go.
Lost Palate.
I said Lost Palate.
Lost
You know,
Oh, bougie Negroes just try to be famous.
what is it? When I get near Grandpa, I started to get his diction like Lost Palate. But this is a hazy IPA. What is it? With mango and natural cinnamon flavor. I'm sure I'm going to hate this.
Mango and cinnamon, they might actually be good. I like a good hazy IPA. I was looking at some yesterday.
It's matching your hair color right now, Auntie.
Well, I'm rocking with these little crack dealers.
Crack dealers. Okay, well.
Yeah. Thin Mint cookies. Little crack dealers running around.
Oh, this actually smells good. Hold on, I had to put it back up.
That's what I said. I think it. What's your pre-rating? What pre-rating?
I think it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna give it a pre-rating of 3 because I don't like hazy IPAs, but we'll
3?
see.
Hey,
Tougher than Dad out here.
Oh, wait a minute. This
that's below
what Braxton from Jamie Foxx. This is Lost Palate, as Auntie corrected me, is good. This is now a 7. I would drink this again. I would buy a box of this.
Who is that, Bells?
Fast.
Is that Bells?
This is who is this by? Goose Island.
That's Goose. You know what? I thought I saw that yesterday at the store.
You should get this. This is good.
Goose Island.
You're not gonna like it.
You give it a 3 for.
No, it went to a 7. Grandpa, if I have a few more cans of this, I might bring these over and hopefully you don't lose these.
Somebody found the other.
You can really taste the cinnamon. It's a nice taste.
And you like it.
Yeah, it's good.
What's the name of it?
It's called Goose Island Beer Company. It's called Lost Palate by Goose Island Beer Company.
Why'd you give it a 3?
I don't like hazy IPA. I don't like IPAs, but this is good.
He gave it a pre-rating of 3 pops from the way it smelled. And
Okay.
But once he tasted it, it jumped up to a 7.
Oh, it's a 7. Okay, I thought it was still at the 3 mark.
Yeah. Well, I actually got some topics today. I wrote some stuff down, but the first one I wanted to get off was, have y'all heard about this slave NFT thing?
What?
There's slave NFTs. It's pictures of black people, and you can buy them and people are bid on it like it's a slave action.
I hate it.
Say that again?
It's called, so NFT is a non-fungible token. It's basically the way I equate it for this particular instance is people are using it to basically trade money. That's what I like to call it, because they're under the cover of its art you can just put any arbitrary amount of value on something. So in this particular instance, somebody has made images of black people and is calling it slave NFTs, or was before someone found out about it, and people are bidding on it, like real live, like people are putting real live bitcoins and funds behind it to buy these things, these slave NFTs.
I hate it.
Man, I wish it would have been me. And we could have took that money and did something good with it. Like, if you want to be so ignorant enough to buy, and I mean, from what I saw, they were tens of thousands of dollars and like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I saw one of them go for like $68,000. I'm like,
like, what if the black community put those out and took that money and used it for good, right? We just taking old white racist money.
What is that, Grandpa?
And reusing it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
What did it say?
Astro?
Yeah. This is advertisement. Have you ever heard of Astro?
No, sir.
I got this. It was I guess a woman's magazine. It was sent to Naomi. But I looked in there and they had some women, and whoever's got this Astro, they got a hit on their hand. This is actually the time. This is clothing, you know. I wish you could see some of the clothing that's in this book, you know.
So it's a catalog?
Yes, it's a catalog.
Like Afrocentric attire and apparel.
Yes. Now I looked in it and I said, boy, this is really, I wish there was some way I could. You see what I mean? This is all black, you know, black models and everything, but it's the wear of the women and the men.
Yes, sir.
For actual design on the women's clothes, and the man can get a shirt or something, you know, that fits it. So it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
As a design, I thought this was really something. In fact, I'm going to order something out of this book.
Okay.
It's all. I can't. You can't see it, but it's some beautiful clothes in here. Whoever Astro is, they got something going for them. They really got something going for them.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice black designers out there.
Yeah, I mean, with these they on the ball. It ain't just it is not just clothing. It's hair. You know, different styles of hair and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Astro.
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 Astro. ASHRO. Astro.
So think of it like an afro, but the SH is like sh for women, like the she.
Okay,
Astro.
Astro. Yeah, but anyway, somebody got a hit on their hands. I love it.
Well, it depends on their cost per conversion, but you know, it all comes down to business. Depends on their cost per conversion. Their cost per conversion. So
if it attracts somebody 62 years old, you know, they got to have. I don't be usually looking at nothing like that, you know.
Grandpa, how old are you?
32.
Hey, you know, 62 plus 32. That's not. You gave you a riddle.
You kept going back in time.
Yeah. We gave you a riddle there.
I want to keep up. I want to keep up with the time because all they doing is lying now.
Man,
I want to be a part of the movement. The lying. Folks say every time, especially Trump's people, every time you look around, they tell them a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was what something you posted yesterday that was like, save that for the show today? What was that? You had posted some article or something that you were talking about dang, where'd you put it? You put it on your Facebook page.
Well, I was asking questions yesterday about why don't we teach our children our history before slavery, something like that.
It was something else. It was one other thing that you had said. Oh, what was it? Do you think the media
I'm always on something?
Viewers see how happy was? Oh, this is the question. You asked, why doesn't cancel culture attack the founding fathers of this country? I wanted you to talk about that. Was a good one. I like that one. So I really didn't see a lot of response for that, but that's a good question.
Yeah, ain't nobody respond to stuff of substance and like real conversation. You got to be singing and dancing in order to get attention, you know. But the whole cancel culture, they going back in past and finding everybody to cancel when, you know, you got these dead white men on these dollar bills that were slave holders and some of the most atrocious people the planet has ever seen. But we don't talk about them. But one person did comment, they said cancel culture is only for black people. So
Yes.
they only finding ways to cancel you. And we buy into these narratives. Like we just get led around by the nose by the mainstream at every turn, you know, like the Super Bowl, right? We can have another conversation about that. Was that a dope representation of the hip hop era, or was that NFL appeasement without even doing anything to actually make any substantive change? They can just let y'all sing and dance on a stage, of which those individuals paid to be there, by the way. The NFL did not pay them to be on that stage. So they made money, got recognition, without actually changing anything in the racist structure that is going on. Like, we just got to stop being patted on the head and accepting this as progress. In my opinion,
it was definitely appeasement, and then like people were talking about how Snoop wore his colors even though they asked him not to, and how Eminem did his thing even though they asked him not to. But in my mind, I feel like that was just a leaked thing. Like they were going to do that regardless, and they wanted to make it show like it was more real. Because I'm like, you know, like people, if people really didn't want you to do something, you're not going to do it. Especially they wouldn't let him out there. Like if they had a hint of an idea that he was going to do something, or they were going to do something they didn't want him to do, they wouldn't let him do it. Right?
Well, the Snoop thing, they didn't want him to wear his rag out of his back pocket, which I guess is one of the gang signs. So that's why he wore the outfit, which was basically the rag he would have wore out of his back pocket. But when he was walking on stage, they saw what he had on. Did nobody stop him? Like, it's their whole show. They could have easily stopped him if they really cared.
That's my point. But like the fact that they let out a statement saying, you know, or someone let out a statement saying they asked them not to do what they did, and they did anyway. Like to me, it just seemed like I'm so skeptical about stuff because it just seems so contrived and planned. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'll say this. I didn't even pay attention that his outfit was a blue bandana. Like, you know,
I just know from the conversation on
what I'm saying is at the time before he got on stage, who would have paid attention to it to be able to stop him? Because until people started posting about it, I was like, oh, that is a bandana outfit. Nobody probably, you know, think about all the ugly ass outfits celebrities wear anyway. All they gotta say is Gucci, Versace, or something like that. And people are like, oh, that's hot. They're not paying attention that this man may or may not have gotten an entire outfit made to look like the bandana because they told him not to wear the bandana. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like if people talk about stuff that doesn't matter, who cares? Like, so are we applauding him for what? For getting around the system, for representing gang life? Like, what's, you know, like, why do they even talk about that like that's a good thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, Super Bowl told him not to do it, so he did all this.
technically the Bloods and the Crips, from my understanding, have joined on a few business ventures now, and things are actually going back to what they were originally created for. Like the Crips was like community reach against like police violence, something like that, and like people are going back towards that original core of it. It was the government that villainized what those organizations were, and then crack up.
Sure. But that ain't what Snoop was representing when he was Crip walking and all that other stuff. So I don't believe this.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying it's just the same thing of like when the Hells Angels incorporated. They're allowed to incorporate, but the Crips and the Bloods aren't. But people have a different narrative for what that organization is, but they call the things gangs.
Right. Yeah, Pops, those outfits are sharp. I was looking.
I was going to say that's you and Freddie. Y'all got the team up together. That's beautiful. I thought. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. That's nice.
Yeah, Pops is in on this fashion, man.
I mean, like we over here trying to have drama good conversation. Girl don't care about nothing but
the age, you know.
Pop's trying to figure out what he gonna wear and stun on us on the next show. That's what he trying to do. He said, y'all talking about Snoop outfit. Let me wait till y'all see my outfit.
I don't think Grandpa's actually heard anything we've said today. He's been looking at this magazine. It's just like, are y'all ready to buy? It's like he probably has stock in the company. He's like, these dividends ain't gonna come unless y'all
you know. Well, honestly though, the magazine I was getting ready. It was just an advertisement, and I was getting ready to throw it in, you know, trash. Cause I get it every day, but I just have to
every day.
You know, different kinds of junk. You know.
Oh.
And I was looking through it, but Naomi's name was on there, and I just happened to glance through it, and I seen these clothes, and it was striking. I said, hey, I could buy me something there, not knock 10 years off of me. I don't speed on it.
Well, people already think you only 74 anyway. So you want to be 64?
5 minutes ago, he was 62 and then 32. So
32, yeah.
Look here.
He's like, we matching ages now, Grandpa. I'm 32. That's proud to me.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
No, it's interesting. What was it? There was something else one of my friends posted on Instagram. If you guys saw that video of those kids fighting in that mall, and the police, when they got to them, they grabbed, and the lady was pushing the white boy away, like he's like, oh, we're protecting you, and they slammed that black boy down quick. Horrible. That's like I was watching, I'm just like, is she really holding him back? Like, oh, you're right, like they're protecting him for something? Like this whole situation.
And the white boy came in like the black dude was doing something. But this is just what happens with us. And like I'm your generation, like I'm sick of y'all too, because I keep hearing this conversation about, well, I'm not my ancestors. I'm not my ancestors. But they shooting and killing and beating you up right in front of you, and it's on camera, and you're standing there watching, but you keep talking about you not your ancestors, as if you could have endured half of the things that your ancestors went through. I can't stand that conversation. Not my ancestors. Like,
the people are saying that I'm not my ancestors.
Yeah. This is like a movement amongst the youth, because they keep talking about how the ancestors was passive and they allowed things to happen to them.
They showed strength. History never recorded it, but some people did. But they didn't. They weren't pacifists. They got about 30, 40 different slave revolts in this country.
I'm sure it's more than that.
Yeah, and they ain't gonna tell them how many thousand died. So there wasn't nothing passive about it.
No, nothing at all. But my point is, on camera, these things like what Josh is talking about in the mall is happening all over the country, and people keep talking about, I'm not my ancestors. Well, clearly you are, because you ain't doing shit about it. They doing it on camera right in front of you.
No, they worse, man. Like it's one of those things. Like, well, I was talking to one of my, I shouldn't say talk, I was commenting on a post earlier where one of my friends was talking about how he doesn't like black men who try to find reasons not to love black women. Like, he understands, you understand if you find love somewhere else, but like, there's those dudes who like, man, I like who grew up, everyone like you grew up in the hood or whatever, you go to hood school or you go to all black school or you go to wherever, it's just, majority black school or whatever, what have you. And you get, you're just not lucky. You get dogs, someone calls you a weirdo, and now you're going to blame every other black woman, and you're going to force yourself to date somebody white or something like that. And I'm like, so you had one bad experience, and that circumvents the hundreds of years of things that have happened to everybody in our culture. And you like, you know what? That's better than what this situation is, as opposed to growing as a human being and seeing that maybe you didn't mesh well with that one person. You know what I mean?
Well, I say this, goodbye, Goofy, because we don't want your ass either. The black women don't want you. The collective has decided we don't want you. If you don't see the beauty that is naturally in us, then go ahead and go get something else that's less. That's fine. No, with people like that, to me, there's no need to have a conversation. There's no need to try to explain anything to them or bring them back on this side and make them love us.
I like what you said. Go get, if you don't like it, go get something less.
Go get something less, and that's fine. That's fine. Save the time for an amazing black woman.
No, but there ain't nothing better. If you go, you go get something less. You ain't getting nothing better.
You ain't gonna get nothing better. Where you going? Where you going?
It's just wild because, like, I don't.
Beauty. I will say this: I do feel sorry for people who think that way, because I'm like, man, who's hurt you? Who's tarnished your brain? Like, I wish you could think on your own and really see for what it is. But those who sit there and want to do nothing but minimize black women, bye.
Yeah,
bye.
So a lot of them and a lot of people just base black women off of the caricature that's created by the media. And that this whole ghetto attitude is all black women, and that might be their experience too, right? They might, but my point with saying this is, if you fishing in a garbage can, you're gonna end up with garbage, right? Like, black women aren't just in garbage cans. There are black women that are garbage black women, but there's garbage everybody, right? There's garbage white women, black men, purple men, binary, whatever you want to call yourself. But what I'm saying is there's a lower level of the echelon to every society. So if that's where you're fishing, then that's what you're going to attract, or that's what you're going to catch. But if you're looking for elevated black women, they're everywhere, right? Like it's such a weak discussion, and maybe you can't hold their attention, and that's part of the issue, right?
I think it's more than that. I think it's just some people just have such a low threshold for looking at themselves and saying, "Hey, this was just a bad experience. Let me move on." They want to blame someone else for something, and they just can't. Like, no, there's things that like stuff happens to you from outside. I can understand that, but like it could be as simple as they just didn't feel you. You know what? Just move on. That's life. Like, you're not gonna get every job. You're not gonna get everything that you want ever. But you don't blame the whole world for that one particular thing that happened. I just think that's wild to me. Like, and I've ran into people like that who will date outside of their race, like as a black person, for the expressive purpose of because they like. And it's one thing to do it because you just happen to meet somebody. It's another thing where it's like you're doing it like a vendetta. Like, I gotta find somebody who ain't black.
Man, so speaking of it, there was this documentary, and I'm using a whole bunch of air quotes on that one. It was something about the angry black woman. I can't remember what it was. Saw it a couple years ago. This guy created an entire hour and a half worth of support on how and why black women ain't about nothing. And it was done by a black man. Now, they say that what happened was that he had just gotten out of a divorce. I think he and his wife had just divorced, and I guess she left him for somebody with a blah, blah, blah. So what was interesting is that it was part skits and part street interviews, right? So he would ask questions. So during one of the street interviews, I see somebody that I know. And I'm like, why she participate in this? Like, what the heck? So I sent her a message like, hey, I just saw you in this documentary about angry black women. She said, girl, she said, I was so mad when it came out because he didn't tell us what the documentary was. He was just asking leading questions about, oh, tell us about women that do this, that. So she's like, I'm thinking he's just asking random questions. I didn't know that he was creating his support for why black women shouldn't be, can't be loved. We're unlovable and this and that. She was livid. But this man created an entire support.
I hope she sued him. I hope she sued him for everything.
I think she just
didn't have nothing.
But I was just like, wow, and that's yeah, seriously. She was just like, I can't believe that he included me in that. But of course, he got the signature that she, was participating in it. She just didn't know the direction of what he was talking about, and he did that, and it was just. Excuse me, it was horrible to watch. It was absolutely horrible. I watched the whole thing, but it was absolutely horrible to watch. And I said, bye-bye, Goofy. If you don't like black women, we don't like you either. You black men like that, and I'm gonna go on record to say it. Black men like that, I want you to date outside of us. Don't tarnish none of my sisters with your foolishness. Don't do it. Bye. Bye. Be somebody else's headache.
Well, y'all know what my theme song has been all throughout this program about. The black woman is the black man's liberation.
Come on, I'm gonna need to get
this. And I see it going on. I'm seeing all these federal judges,
right there,
justices, and all this stuff. We're gonna straighten this crap out. Our women are, but the men, they kind of sitting back and saying, "Yeah, but I ain't seeing them too much up front there." But they used to have the whole limelight, and we didn't get no progress. But we
they killed a lot of those dudes.
That's why no progress.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for lack of trying. It was they got to the point where they're going to get to progress, and then they got killed.
I go along with that because they done shot the Medgar Evers and the Martin Luther Kings and even Malcolm X.
Well, the brilliance of what they've done lately is they kill them off mentally before they even grow now.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
With this whole miseducation and you don't understand your history, you don't know who you are on this planet, the things that you've done, you end up with individuals talking crazy about the black woman who has, carried us at least the last 3 centuries
Mm-hmm.
at a minimum, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she's always been integral in everything that we've done.
Yeah.
But now they've erased that from your memories, right? And I always say, and I've been speaking all week, all month, right? I always say we're complicit in this. The black people who are quote unquote awake are complicit in this because we are allowing the schools to continue this nonsense. They're teaching our children, our grandbabies, our nieces, our nephews this foolishness, and nobody is shaking the system and insisting that the truth is interjected into this. And it's hard to grow a revolutionary that don't know their people and don't have a love for their people.
I'm quite sure one of your cards in your, Black History. I know you had a Harriet Tubman.
Oh yeah.
We had a whole lot of Harriet Tubmans out there, and they weren't backing down. They was carrying pistols and said, "Well, hey, you going our way or you going to see the Lord?" I mean, this is a fact. Black women ain't never been sitting back doing nothing.
Yeah, she was at all the revolutions.
Like all of them, right?
Yeah, out front. When you find out about the Jamaican Revolution and when they woke up and took control of their island, it was the nanny of the Maroons. It was the Queen Mama that led that revolution. When you find out who's behind the Haitian Revolution, Toussaint and Gerard gets the credit, but it was Abaraya Toya, the woman from the Mino that came from Angola. It came over and then trained them in the military tactics in order to overthrow 3 nations, right? And not only one, not 2, but 3 nations, France, Spain, and England, and had America at bay right there across the way, right? But this was from the mind of a black woman. That story's never told. That angle's never told, right? In patriarchal society. Go ahead.
I was just going to request, because Women's History Month is starting on March 1st. Can we do some Black Women's History Month on the show that month?
Yeah,
the whole Africa segment. Can we do a women history segment, please, for the month of March?
Yeah, I would love
at a minimum.
I would love that. Because I keep on saying too, when WB
I gave away some of my guns right there.
When WB had this, and I'll never forget that he was sending a message to us. When Du Bois had that whole room full of black women, he was sending us a message. All these leaders and things, they were tribal warriors, there was everything, but they was up front. Kings, queens, they were up front. I think that's what he was trying to say. I gotta be a revival of this.
We gotta clear some up about some Du Bois. So, is it true that Du Bois had Garvey deported?
He didn't have Garvey deported, but he was never a fan of Garvey. But later in his life, he admitted that he was wrong in his stance.
Well, he wasn't much of a fan of Booker T. Washington, was he?
Well, yeah, neither one of them.
Their philosophical differences they had, where he thought about the talented 10, and Booker T. Washington was talking about using your hands, to create this particular society.
Yeah, but Du Bois came around on that too. Du Bois, to his credit, evolved. He was on that bougie. Yeah, he was on that bougie Negro shit. Yeah, and just talking about intelligentsia and how we need to, talented 10th. Later, he started talking about the guiding 100th and all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
but when he moved to Africa, he eventually saw the error and the folly in his ways, and he changed, right?
Yeah.
But we don't really talk about Du Bois towards the end. We just, we're fixated on him at the beginning of his career when he was beefing with Garvey. When Garvey was just calling him out. He was just saying, "You a white boy with black skin."
Well, Du Bois, he got his doctorate from Harvard, didn't he?
From Harvard.
So that right there tells you something,
I love this quote though, because this quote said, you're the first black person to graduate from Harvard or whatever. He said, "I assure you, the absolute pleasure was Harvard's."
Yeah.
I appreciated that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they were funding the NAACP, white people. This is the same issue that I have with my fraternity, with all of the fraternities, with all the black organizations. You can't take white money and then have revolutionary stances, because they hold that money over your head. They pull your funding and then you done. But here we go again with the problem in the black community. We don't fund ourselves. The people with money sit on the sidelines, And then the organizations that's trying to do good got to take white money in order to help. But when they start getting a little too helpful, white money pull back and the organization crashes. It's like you got to, if you're going to have a revolution, you got to fund it. You got to fund it. Ain't nobody about to fund their destruction. Like all these smart people, and we just still act like we dumb.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like when I see, I wish I took the article's name, but another what is it, diversity chief or whatever, white man, he steps down. I'm like, you can't this should be obvious by now, and we can't play these games where this BIPOC game, people of color game, like. It doesn't, like, you like black people just gotta be what it is. Like we have a black organization for us. We're not trying to collaborate with a bunch of people for our rights, because whatever happens, every time we try to, people take bits and pieces and they walk away with it, and we don't get nothing. Like it shouldn't be a problem to do that, because every other organization does that for themselves. It's just when black people do it, it's a problem.
It's like racism and all that other trash, discrimination and blah 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 blah. But y'all do it anyway.
Like what was it? I posted this last night. It was about, I think, Biden's judge nominee or something. It was or financial nominee for the Fed or something. So it's from Yahoo News. That's what it was. So here's how they label it. Here's how they label the title. Everyone benefited from slavery. Biden Fed nominee Lisa Cook's Black financial reparations could become first Black woman on Fed board. So you saw, like, they labeled it that just to make sure she doesn't probably get put on.
Read it again.
Yeah, read it again.
So the title is, it's on my Facebook too. Everyone benefited from slavery. Biden Fed nominee Lisa Cook's Black's financial reparations could become first Black woman on Fed board.
Oh.
So
basically, they trying to piss on her before she even get up there.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm like, this is great. She really, if she supports Black reparations, and I read the article, so she's like, yeah, we like everyone else benefited from slavery. Black people need to give some reparations and all that other stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And when they put stuff in the title like that, they do that because they want to, like Auntie just said, they want to piss on people.
Yep.
What's her name?
Her name is Lisa Cooks. She is Lisa Cooks. I'll just read a little bit from the thing. Lisa Cooks, a Michigan State University economics professor, has been nominated by President Biden for governor of the Federal Reserve. On February 3rd, she will appear before the Senate Banking Committee. So, we went to the same university too. So I mean, once Black Michigan State.
Oh, really? Oh, nobody else picked up on that as soon as you read it. Oh.
He just wanted to push it. All right.
It's like, let me read a little bit of it. Oh, she went to Michigan State.
Oh my
goodness! Have to read all that.
Surprise!
It was wild.
I recall something about that. She was nominated to be a member of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's Biden's nominee.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I recall that.
Yeah. So it's like, they do a little slide stuff because they know people are going to see that part. Like,
yeah, they trying to get the good old folks up in arms. That's all. Like that was such a I won't say clickbait, but that was a bait title. Well, wow, nephew, you took that down, huh? Okay.
It's good. This is good. I might slide another can after work. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, you like.
What's the ABV on it?
Oh, it's not even much. So I mean, I'm
like
let me
7, 8.
See if I can find it on the can. It's somewhere on here. If they put it on here.
Some of them don't. I was at the store yesterday. I had to Google some while I was at the store.
Oh, this is 6.3.
Yeah.
So it's
that's daytime.
Yeah.
But so back to what we were saying though, it's just amazing the little things that they do to try to act like they're being innocent, but trying to
discredit
the bear and discredit at the same time. Yeah. What'd you say, Pops?
I say belittle, discredit, whatever they can, in a subtle kind of way,
But the thing is, the question is, where are the lies? Like I said, everybody else got some.
That's right.
Yeah, I was. I'm not gonna say where I was because I'll tell the truth. I was working and I was, talking, like we were group chatting while we were working, like, and we just got going to group call, and it's Black History Month, so people were talking about this was blah blah blah, things that and the third, and someone mentioned that you like it was an older gentleman like that reparations like not reparations but like you like this new like generation of I guess millennials, like you'd be hard pressed to find racism in millennials now because it's just such an old timey thing. And like I took my job in my hands because I started telling the truth. I'm like, nah, like that's not accurate at all. I'm like, it's just different. Racism is just different than like you don't see people getting lynched as often as you did back in the day, or able to have the protections to just kill black people or do whatever. But it's still here. I mean, like that's when I brought up reparations. I'm like, here's what we didn't get. Here's the hundreds of other groups that have gotten reparations from the federal government, yet we don't. Here's the reasons why. Like obviously outside just slavery. I mean, like the fact that people just think slavery ended and then like black people mysteriously just got the ability to do everything they wanted is wild to me. Like the civil rights movement, it like was needed to basically stop the I guess runoff radiation of slavery, because it wasn't like you were free after you stopped being a slave.
Mm-mm.
There was still peonism, there was still all the redlining that still happens in certain parts of the United States to this day. I mean, you couldn't be in the same banks, you didn't get the same interest rates. You were still an impoverished, downtrodden people.
Yep.
And people just gloss over like it's just like I think it's like a fairy tale ending things. Like people watch movies and they think when movies ends, like, oh, it's a happy ending, everything just works out. So like, oh, slavery ended, things people just got right. They just did right after that.
Right.
And that's not how the world was.
Nope. What do you mean was? You mean is?
Is. Sorry about that.
It is still happening to this day. And it's not going anywhere at all.
No, it's not. And that's why we got to start telling the truth to our children, regardless of the educational system. Listen, man, y'all know this is just my month. I've been on, but listen, ain't nobody coming to save you, fam. Like, I just don't know what's up with us. And listen, hey, you want to believe in Jesus and you want to wait for whatever. But in the meantime, before Jesus come back, you're going to have to start doing some things that's uncomfortable in order to start turning the tide, because we drowning.
That's such a lazy take by people who say they believe in God or believe in Jesus or believe whatever divinity. Because in most religious texts, God helps those who helps themselves. He ain't just sitting
They forget that part.
Yeah, they forget that. Like that's like people who like read, who only quote like 8 sentences from the Bible and don't read, but don't know the sentence before or after. Like there's context to everything.
Context. Like, ooh, that's a big word.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just you can't just stop at the 10 Commandments and think you holy. Like you gotta. It's called practice and study. Like people out here really thinking. Like the worst thing that happened, and I'm not going to say this because I'm saying this tongue in cheek. The worst thing that happened to Christianity is when they taught people about repentance.
Look here, I can't tell you. I know somebody. Like, all right, we're gonna make this conversation quick because I try not to talk about religion too deeply, too often, right? But I remember asking before, what does it mean to be saved? Like, how do you get saved? How are some people saved and some people are not, right? Like, they're like, you talk to your preacher and your pastor, whatever, and they'll talk to God for you, and this is that, and they'll decide. And I was like, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to have our own relationships with God? Like, why does some other man have to bump for me? That man does not know me or my heart or my spirit, but God is supposed to, right? So that was the first step. Second step, people I knew who were saved would constantly say, oh, I backslid yesterday. I'm just going to ask for forgiveness and keep moving. And I'm like, how many times can you backslide and still call yourself saved? You are choosing to do these things every day or weekend, whatever. But then you won't say, oh, since I'm saved, I'm just going to ask for forgiveness and all is good. What?
That's wild to me, especially if you read the Bible. I'm like, Old Testament God is y'all want to play with him? He talking about destroying the world, and you talking about like, I'm just going to assume I'm good. Like all that stuff is wild to me. Like anything, it's like working out. You get it, Auntie. Like, just because you do one push-up don't mean your body's gonna stay that way forever. Like, you gotta maintain, you gotta practice, you gotta do. It's not like shit. If you at your job or if you own a business, it's not just autopilot. Like, you got to process and then like it just works forever. You got to keep tuning. Things change. Like, you don't just assume everything is good all the time because you did one thing one time.
Ain't that part true? You about to say something, Pops? What you say, Pops?
Yeah, I was going to add on to what you were saying. I was going to say that people get confused with being forgiven and not paying for their sins. You reap what you sow. Now, God may forgive you, but that doesn't mean that the crime that you committed that you don't pay for it, because whatever what do you say about the wind and the whirlwind, it's a scientific fact. You commit a sin, you're gonna pay for it. Now you can be forgiven for doing it, but that don't mean that the debt's been cleared. You're gonna pay for what you did. And it's a continuous thing, even if they go into the next millennium or whatever, if you come back here. But you must pay your debt.
Yeah,
well,
even
that had to Pops real quick. That was a good one.
What I loved about that whole thing was Grandpa said it's a scientific fact.
It's a law. You're gonna reap what you sow.
In the book of Fred Rennikins.
That don't mean that you ain't gonna pay for what you done. He just forgave you. You say, okay, I know, but you know the law. And the law says you got a debt to pay.
I always say karma is a patient bitch.
There you go. It's patient, and it doesn't just end in this particular era in time or on this planet. We don't understand all that, but the karma, you're gonna have to pay for what you've done.
Sometimes if something wild just happens to me out the blue, and I'm like, I don't know where it came from. I'm like, you know what? I did something for this. And just move on. Because it's just you never know.
I'm paying for something.
Like, that's exactly what I think about. I don't try to get too mad. I'm just like, I'm gonna move on. This could be way worse. Yeah. You know what?
It can always be worse now.
I was taking the stride. Oh, Polar Night says good evening.
Hey, Polar Night.
Good evening.
What you said, some Pops?
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's why when you just want to get in the combo, you just say 92.
We need someone to print a shirt or something that's like with Grandpa like this with his finger in there saying it's a scientific fact. God says you'll reap what you sow.
My whole thing with it all is beyond religion. Ain't nobody coming to save you. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily making a reference to Jesus.
By not doing what you're doing,
Say it again.
I say you're going to save yourself by not doing the things that's going to cause a comeback. But whatever you do is going to come back on you. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I ain't even going there. I'm just talking about your people catching hell.
Even if it's good things come back to you. You said, boy, I got lucky. That wasn't no luck. Me and Josh were talking about that. It's that universal force. That ain't no luck. That causes
only you can save yourself.
You get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People. Even with karma, you can argue karma all you like, but I don't feel like anybody can prove any of this, right? I just like factual stuff that's right in front of us. Your children are being lied to.
You can prove it.
Okay.
So it's.
I'm not arguing. I don't even want to argue. I want to go somewhere else with it, but. Not even your children are the facts are your children are being lied to right in front of your eyes about their history and their culture and their contribution to humanity on this planet. This ain't got nothing to do with karma. This has everything to do with the facts that's right in front of you. So what are you going to do about that, right? Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to come and show up and all of a sudden change the educational system to include our history and our culture. We got to do it. Period. That's all.
And we are doing
the point I was making.
We are doing it. I've been in the schools there.
You cannot hide the truth. 400 years means nothing in the time of this earth and other planets or whatever.
So it's like I've been to all of them.
All right.
Grandpa said I've been to all the planets. Like,
okay. But I'm just saying the truth gonna rise. They've been lying and lying and lying, and the truth keeps on seeping through. Eventually, the lie can't hold the truth no more. The truth is coming out now, and we're watching it every day.
Well, eventually it takes a little too long.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Eventually been happening for 400 years. Like shit.
Okay, let's go back to 6,000 years ago. 400 years ain't nothing compared to 6,000 years, is it? You know, I was talking about the age of the Aquarius, and I was talking about the 26,000 years
Right.
around revolution, and this is the beginning of a new day. This is the beginning of a new day. You cannot suppress truth no more. This is the beginning of a new day, and you watch and see all the lies that have been told is going to be covered up with the truth.
So right here in this phone, you got every truth that you could ever find. The problem is it's been covered up with deceitful information and misinformation on top of it all. So you're talking about truth, and it is out there, but you have to filter through it in order to find it. And most people don't have the mental wherewithal or the endurance to do such things. This is why I say that we as a community got to get off our asses and stop saying that the truth is going to come and start delivering it to our babies.
That's what I'm talking about. We delivering.
You know, you made me think about a movie called The Century of.
We got internet. The internet put the truth all over the world, and the lies are being slaughtered by the truth.
No, they're not being slaughtered.
It's a slow process. It ain't done like overnight, you know.
And that's the thing, because me, you, and Pooh said the same thing. So you said it's a slow process. I said eventually it takes too long. You say the truth is out there. Pooh said the truth is out there, but it's covered by so many lies. But where we don't agree is that the truth is just slaughtering the lies, because that's not the truth. People they fall into the lies because the lies are there way more than the truth. Like, you really have to dig for the truth. The lies are being thrown out all day, every day.
But you can't cover up the truth.
Yeah, you can. People try, and they do. The fact that there are any black men on this earth who can sit there and say that they don't love the black woman shows that the truth has been hidden, and hidden well from some people.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that. Eventually the truth rises through, just like a grass or blade come up through some paved cement.
Sure. It's eventually.
And it don't do overnight. But eventually you look down there and tell me, how in the world did this flower come up through this
eventually? And that's what we said, eventually. Lies are just there. There's no eventually for lies. They're just there.
Yeah. This makes me think of a movie. That's a documentary. You can look it up. It's called The Century of the Self. It talks about how you heard about it?
No, I haven't.
So it's about, Sigmund Freud has, I think it's his nephew or his uncle or whatever, is the father of modern marketing or whatever. So he had ideas of marketing in the sense of marketing half-truths, because a half-truth is easier to swallow than telling the whole truth, because a truth in and of itself is absolute. There's no wiggle room, right? For the knowledge you have at that time.
4 hours long.
But here's the thing. The idea of his marketing, what they do modern marketing with half-truths, is a half-truth subconsciously grabs onto the part of you that's like, oh, part of this is true, and puts you in a sense of suspended disbelief, right? Where you are open to suggestion because your mind is trying to grab hold to the whole truth, but only has half the truth. So it makes you open to like buying things. You're like, this intrigues me because I know somewhere, and it's either like your mind is tricking itself and thinking this has to be true because at least part of it's true. It's like a subconscious test they were doing. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So if you have time,
I just pulled it up. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's like what you're talking about. Grandpa's talking about things being buried in half truths. It's like in Black History Month, they talk about Martin Luther King. They talk about the very surface level truths, right? And for the most part, people they identify with it because like people who are in the know, little kids, things of that nature, like, okay, this sounds about right, and they just take it for what it is because it has some truth to it, and people just move on. And for the most part, they found that people are good at just knowing the surface level. That's why clickbait headlines work so well for people, because it's half true, as opposed to like wanting to read the whole article all the time. It's because people are so used to just, well, if it feels true, then it is, versus getting the whole truth. Like people, like psychologically, your brain reacts different to getting a whole fact than getting a half truth. It's very interesting.
It's so interesting you talk about that. Like,
Hella interesting.
there's so much BS out there that I've found myself to be a skeptical on good stuff. Meaning, like, when I'm on IG and they show a video or have a picture and they put their own caption with it and say, oh, father sees his son for the first time, or whatever the case may be, or they try to give some type of backstory to it. I don't necessarily believe it now because I feel like there's so much BS out there now. Does that make sense? And I know it feels sad because I like to like positive stuff, right? Negative, I try to just scroll past. But if it's something positive, and I'm mad I can't think of any specific stories I've seen recently. But I realize that I don't necessarily believe the true stuff out, that things that could be true, because there's so much wrong. Things that could be true and positive because there's so many negative lies.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's just like I said earlier about the Eminem taking a knee thing. I'm like, I still feel like it's like it was either planned, because like Uncle Pooh Bear said, they're not gonna let you do something if they feel like you're gonna do it for real. Like if they do something, like the NFL is not an organization where they're gonna let you do something where they feel like you're gonna mess with their bottom line.
Who said that he told me he was gonna do that? I never felt like he told me he was gonna do that.
No, it was a report that went out like a few days before the Super Bowl saying Eminem asked to take a knee and the NFL told him not to. The same people released it. The same people released it about Snoop Dogg's thing.
Yeah. So my thing is this. All right, y'all want me to do it? All right. What y'all gonna do once the broadcast start?
Yeah, but my point is, like, I feel like it's just like Uncle Pooh Bear said. Like, this is just another way to pacify black people. Like, oh, we saw Eminem, well-known rapper, do it. That pacifies. That's just like, all right, black people watch Super Bowl again or watch football again. Don't complain about nothing. Like that's kind of how I look at stuff. With what happened recently for the Supreme Court nominee. Even though I just read the article about her wanting to be pro for reparations, that's all well and good to say you are, but at the end of the day, unless you're actually pushing for legislation or you put your people in a position where they can get it, it's just another thing, Like I want to see, it's like Uncle Pooh Bear says, we have to hold people to the fire. And Auntie talks about it too. We have to hold people who represent us accountable, because it can't just be you talking good about stuff anymore. Like we have this video's representatives
on the head.
Yeah, we got videos representatives where black people are straight up asking them, okay, all that's good and stuff. What are you going to do for black people specifically? How do you feel about reparations? And getting told like, oh, you'll never get reparations, or they'll never let us get reparations. Even Obama said something about reparations while he was like, well, they were, they keep using the word they, or like Congress being very
dismissed it.
Like, this is not going to happen. It's not going. This is like, why is it that? Why is it for us it's never going to happen? But we see they can just make money happen for whatever cause they want to happen for. So
we easily bought out though.
Yeah, well, he was bought out of stuff. Goldman Sachs probably told him to say that. It ain't gonna never happen.
No, it ain't no doubt about it. But we idolize him as if he's a hero. He's not a hero. He's dope because he rose to the. He's dope. Obama is dope because he rose to the top of his profession. But he ain't no damn hero. He ain't did shit for us. That's how you become a hero of black people. You do shit for black people. You don't become a symbol of black excellence. He's not even a symbol of black excellence. When you go pre-slavery, you find out black people always ruled nations and colonies. This is nothing new. He's not a hero.
Well, that's why I was saying 500, 400 years means nothing in the stream of things. That prior to the 400 or 500 years, we got 5,500 years more of civilization that's recorded.
Well,
I don't know why you're only using 5,500 because it goes back tens of thousands of years.
We are at the end of that 500 years.
Grandpa's talking about.
Like,
no, he's talking about zodiac ages. The ages like they circle in like thousands of years. That's what it is.
Because the zodiac ages that he's talking about is 26,000 years old. What he's referring to is the Bible that goes back 6,000 years, and that's the creation of white people. That's where that number comes from.
here's
That's
what
when white people have been discovered on the planet. That's the center of that conversation.
The 5,500 years that I was talking about in the Bible, that's the story of black people. Check it out. You go back to Abraham and Noah and all. Maybe we talking about black people.
Josh, did I say it?
You did. I was trying to steer it away from that because I felt that's where he was going. But like he said age of Aquarius, which is the Bible used zodiac signs too.
Yeah, like, but the age of Aquarius is every 26,000 years.
Well, this is the beginning of it. This is the beginning of the.
But you went back 6,000 years ago because you was referencing the Bible because you referencing the creation of white people. Mm-hmm. This is what comes out of their text, their diction. But the history says they were discovered on the planet 6,000 years ago. This is where they come from.
Black people.
I didn't say that the Bible wasn't about black people. I said the creation and the discovery of white people happened 6,000 years ago. This is why they talk about prehistoric times being around then, because that's when they were on the planet. That's when they were found in these mountains, right? But go ahead. I digress. I'll let it go. Brad, this is my month. I've been on this all month.
If you got something to say, pull this light out, man.
We're going back to the 6,000 years. Let's go back to Noah, which would take us back about 6,000 years. And Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And if you follow Japheth's history, it takes you down through the eastern part around Russia, back up and through there where the mountain was, the Caucasus Mountain was. And there you got the Ashkenazis, and then they called themselves Jews. But they were never Hebrews. They became Jews, and they converted to Judaism or such. But that was through one of Noah's sons, but they want to claim it, where there was 3 separate ones. There was Ham was a Hamite, Shem was a Shemite, and Japheth. Japheth was a Japhite, and this is where your Ashkenazi Jews come in at. But they want to say
the names had to be made up because the people had to be born first in order to make the name up. So Ham couldn't have been a Hamite because Hamitism didn't come around and Ham was born. But here I go with logic.
You say that again now? I missed that part.
How could Ham be a Hamite when Hamites wasn't created until he was born? So he couldn't have been a Hamite. He was actually something else.
Noah's son, right? That's Ham. He became a Hamite.
Was Noah a Hamite?
Wait, Noah's son, Japheth.
Was Noah a Hamite?
All 3 of them was brothers, right? All 3 of them was brothers. Let's get that.
You're not getting what I'm asking.
Shemite, the Shem.
Grandpa.
That's why they say the Negro is not
Grandpa,
Hamite, but he's a Shemite, and this is where the difference come in.
Grandpa.
The slave trade, let me say this.
All right.
When the slave trade was going on, they were taking Shemites. This is why they keep talking about the Caribbean and the United States and things. These were Shemite people that the Hamites didn't care too much about because of the pride that they had in the know-it-all. And they were glad to see them go. So they participated in getting rid of the Shemites. And if you find out everything, the North American and all down in South America, they ain't no Hamites, they're Shemites. The Hamites still over in Africa. And that's what we're trying to get back to. But they got
I wouldn't disagree with that, but according to your lineage, according to what you're saying, then that means the Moors would be Shemites because the fall of Africa didn't happen until the Moors fell in 1491.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the Moors.
I know it wasn't just the Moors.
The Moors, the Hebrews, even the Christians were there at 1492.
But what I'm saying is they
were black people.
The last empire to fall before colonialization was the Moors. That's just the facts.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying there was no
thing. Moor means black. That's why
I'm not saying Pops. Yeah. I'm not saying that nobody else wasn't there. I'm just telling you.
When you say the Moors, that's all of us.
Inside of the nation of the Moors is a lot of different people. The last nation that fell before our destruction was the Moors. And all I said was, according to what you said, then the Moors must be Shemites because that's who lost the war and that's who got shipped west in the slave trade. That's it. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, okay, what the
I
confusion?
don't think it's important. I don't think the delineation is important between who's this group and how does it affect what was said in the Bible, because I feel like the Bible was written.
Who
It's
we
nothing
are.
more than a book, and there's a lot more history on this planet that goes back tens of thousands of years before the Bible was conceived that we can talk about that has bearing on all of these conversations. But people like to take small chunks of our history and then use it for what makes them feel good.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Where's the silence at?
No silence. I was listening to y'all talk.
No, I'm going to this part too about at the time of the fall of at Granada when the Moors gave up the castle and all that. But in that particular time, there was a place called Timbuktu. And the Timbuktu was where the Shemites was, not the Hamites. They were further east. The Shemites was on that west coast. They came along Ghana and Guinea, Nigeria, and all that. Now, this is what they call it, the slave coast. And they took all these people who were Shemites. And they were assisted by the Hamites. That's where they paid their role in. It's okay. They are in the first place. Make any sense?
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I don't place no value on any of that conversation. All I know is the European came over. They won favor in Africa. They went into different tribes and villages and told people, look, either you hand over us some people or we gonna chop your head off. And then somebody said no, they chopped their head off, and they asked, who's next in charge? I am. You give us some people, we're gonna chop your head off. They chopped this head off, they chopped the heads off of their children, and then they went to the next person, and the next person said, yeah, we give you them niggas over there.
Yeah, that's the Shemite.
That's what pretty much happened. And you want to say that it was Hemite, Shemite, whatever. But all I'm saying is it was terrorism at its highest level. It didn't matter if you was in the religion, the faith, the people or not. Once you chop off the heads of my babies, they was giving up everybody. So you can draw the line all you want to.
What I was trying to get at was that out of Timbuktu came engineers, doctors, lawyers, and everything. This is why the South was so prosperous, but they didn't have just some slaves over there working. They had designers. They built things. They built buildings. They built plantations. They built everything because they was educated at Timbuktu, some educated black people that they specifically went in and got out. Such as we talk about the Geechee. It wasn't no thing that the Geechee got down there in South America. No, they were the best rice growers in the world.
South Carolina.
And they were targeted. They targeted them people and brought them there.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing I'm talking about, like if you take Benjamin Banneker and his heritage, you can find out that he was part of them Timbuktu peoples whose parents was lawyers and doctors and things, and you had all this stuff going on. So there wasn't no people come over there and they didn't teach you a damn thing.
This is why I started by saying there's no such thing as slaves, because they didn't come over there that way. They came over there as doctors, engineers, architects, agriculturalists, scientists.
Brought over,
Huh?
Because at one time they were taking them back to England, and I think the first 20 that came over to the Americas from England, they were not slaves, but they what you call them? People who they're gonna send you to prison. What do you call it? Then they let you go and work your way.
Indentured servants.
Huh?
Indentured servants.
Indentured servants. They came on indentured servants. Slavery didn't come along until they started this thing about naming people as a race, like white people, which consisted. That's when it began, because they wanted to distinguish the white from the black. So to make slaves, or they say everybody is black is a slave,
Well, that's when the Pope made the decree that these people are less than and are able to be subjugated.
Yeah, okay.
You know, Catholics. That's when your Pope made that decision, that decree, because their Pope has always been the biggest gangster on the planet. But you know, there's another conversation.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know, you making the lineages against, you know, Hamites, Shemites, or whatnot, but it was really just the power structure that allowed a system to come in of people who didn't give a damn, and that was swooping up actually the talented people and then subjugating them and bringing them over to the United States and forcing them into labor to make other people rich as a result of that. And they did that in several places, not just the United States.
In time, during the Roman Empire, when you had these black generals, they wasn't a white and a black thing. It was just people. You know, you had difference in color, but they
same in Greece.
And the same thing happened with Napoleon. I was reading about Napoleon Bonaparte and Alexander Dumas. I'm not talking about the one Alexander Dumas wrote the Three Musketeers, but his father, he was a black general in the French army.
Yeah,
he served him, and he was a general. But this color thing came about when they start sending people over here to the country, and they want to have a separation. So
you got to be easy with that, because the color thing is also something that you can talk about with the United States military today and act like, oh no, it was black people in the United States military. Yeah, it's black people trying to live and make a survival thing, but that doesn't mean that they believe in the ideology. That doesn't mean that they believe in the ideology of the military force, because Toussaint Louverture also fought in the France military, the French. He also switched sides and started fighting with Spain as well, all while in that same army, only to come back to the Haitian Revolution and then undermine all of them and throw all of them off.
What year was the Haitian Revolution?
Huh?
What year was the Haitian Revolution?
Well, it started in 1781.
Okay. Up to, I think,
1781.
1671 or something like that, when they began to say white people. But there was no such thing as white. It was race of people, different colors and different shapes, but it wasn't no whole group of people called white people.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting. That's why I come out.
Still ain't no race of people called white people.
Huh?
It still ain't no race of people called white people.
There is none.
Yeah. So what are we talking about? Ain't no race of people called black people either.
But we call it.
I think I was just talking about using those terms, the classification of it.
Yeah, I mean, I get what he's saying, but my point is just like talking with modern day military. Somebody that's in the modern day military isn't necessarily on the side of the United States. They just trying to live and survive. They find an opportunity in order to do something for a minute. That don't mean that they believe with every ideological outlay of the United States. They just trying to live. And this is the same thing when you talk about the Roman army, the Greece army, Napoleon's army, all of this particular stuff. These people are just trying to live.
No, I was saying, no, I'm just saying this. You had black generals in the Roman Empire. You had black generals in the French Empire.
You got black generals in the United States.
Listen to me. Did you have any black generals in the Americans when they started in 16-something? That's when they come with the color to keep you from being a general. You had all the abilities to be a general, but then they come up with the white and the black thing, and black thing was slaves. That was the difference there. All throughout history, we've had black generals fighting all over the world. But they didn't say black generals, it was just black people. They had people.
Well, there was black people fighting for black armies. There's a difference.
To what?
There was black people fighting for black armies. There's a difference.
No, there ain't no black people fighting for black army. When the Roman Empire, the Greeks, you think that the Greeks was all white?
I'm the one that said it. You said the Roman Empire. I said the Greeks had black people in it as well. But
what I'm saying, though,
let's stop pretending. Let's stop pretending that the Greeks and the Romans ruled the world. They didn't. They ruled a small area in and around Europe and what's called the Middle East, and that's it. But black people been all over the planet.
There was a mixture. There was a mixture of black people in Greece and in Rome. Socrates. They were what
I said that already.
I heard Herodotus say Socrates looked like.
I've said this already. And when you read Greek history, They tell you they sat at the feet of the Africans to learn and grow.
That's right.
They say this. This isn't nobody making this up. But I'm telling you, I said this already. You was talking about the Romans. I said, and the Greeks. There was also black people inside of that military, that government.
It wasn't the white people and the black people, what I was saying. The white people didn't come until 16 something. It was just a matter of people. You might have been a people of color, different shade, because the black general, the one that saved that German village, and Rome called him, and he sacrificed his life because he didn't want to kill up the people. Saint Germain.
I'm not familiar.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, it wasn't no thing. You participated, but you participated as a people. You might be a different color, something. They didn't say, "Well, you can't do this because you black." Only until when you got the United States, when they separated to make these people in the states over you, and that was after the 1620, because they came with indentured servants. When they started bringing the slaves in, they wanted a separation to know what a slave was, so they created that, white and black. And if you was black, then they said, well, they put a label on you, a slave, unless you could prove that you had the proof that you were there before the slaves came. And a lot of blacks did, and they were free blacks. Am I right?
I mean, sure. I still don't see what the purpose is and the point when we get to Shem and Hamites and all of that. It has no relevance.
That's all about history.
The only key point is white people have been the scourge of the planet, and they're gonna have to do better in order to move forward, because that's just the truth. Again, there I go telling the truth, right? Because that's who made that delineation. That's who drew the line. That's who started oppressing people based on skin color, not necessarily about talent and worth. They started lying to the planet about we ain't got no worth. They rewrote the history. Them and the Arabs, right? I don't let the Arabs off the hook, because the Eastern slave trade did the exact same thing that the Western slave trade has done. But most black people are Christian and not Islam. And so we don't really talk about the Eastern slave trade, which is why I'm excited we going into Kemet, because we're going to talk about it on our trip.
You're going to Kemet?
Yeah.
Kemet.
Well, you know, you might as well.
You out from Egypt, Nubia, and Kemet. That's what you're talking about? Which was, Egypt was Kemet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're going to talk about that Eastern slave trade too. We're going to make a lot of the Islam black folks uncomfortable because they don't like to talk about this.
Yeah, but you know, the Arabs, their slave trade was nothing. There was nothing in the history of slavery and slave trade as it was in the United States. They had different exceptions. Here in this country, you would listen. Wait a minute. Okay, you take like
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, but I can't argue that.
Yeah, right. I mean, because most people don't know nothing about it
in the history of the world. Where you gonna be there was no thing where you're gonna be a slave for life. You name me another the Arab slave where they use a slave for life.
When did you get free?
Huh?
When did you get free?
You could buy your way freedom and stuff like that over there and there. There wasn't no slave. They said in this country, you a slave. And
how you gonna buy your way to freedom? You ain't got no job. You don't make no money. How you gonna buy your way to freedom?
No out. There's no other slavery where.
How you gonna buy your way to freedom? Are you a slave? I pay you $0. I keep you on my plantation. How you gonna buy your way to freedom? How you gonna get $1?
Man,
how you gonna get $1 to buy yourself to freedom? That's an impossibility.
Who was that went over to what? A lot of them bought their way to freedom. Now, come on, you better get into your history. There was a lot of people, black people, bought their way to history.
All right.
I mean, out of slavery.
Grandpa said, "You better check." I was there. Let me tell you something.
A lot of black people bought their freedom.
Grandpa said, "If it wasn't for me,
it's a lot of black people that got $1 million today too, right? I wouldn't count them as the many.
Nobody buying their way out of freedom.
It's a lot of black people that got $1 million today, but I wouldn't count them as the many.
I didn't say no many.
I would count them as the fortunate few, right? You would count them as the fortunate few.
Slaves and a lot of black free. There was a lot of black free people in this country, believe it or not. In fact, there were some black people that had slaves.
I'm aware of all of this.
What I'm saying.
What that got to do with the Eastern slave trade? That ain't got nothing to do with the Eastern slave trade.
They didn't say your son and your son's son and your son's son and so going to be in slavery.
Show me where that wasn't. Show me where that wasn't the truth.
The other was going to
show me a slave trade that lasted hundreds of years, just like the Western one, where the slaves had babies and then their children was all of a sudden free. Because if that was the case, how do you end up with hundreds of years of an Eastern slave trade? Because if their babies were set free, then you can't go into centuries of a slave trade because they having free babies. But that wasn't the case. This is revisionist history you making.
You gotta check that.
You check it. Check it. Check it. Please check it. Please check it.
Okay, let's make that a thing on our next thing about slavery in the East. Let's make that.
I love it.
I love it. Okay,
I love it. And because we let Islam off the hook. We give Christianity the business. Islam gets off the hook.
I know Islam ain't off the hook, but I'm just saying
they off the hook because we don't know nothing about it.
Son and your son's son, and right on down through the generation gonna be slaves. Now that ain't.
I just want to know, how do you have centuries? How do you have centuries of a slave trade going east, of slavery going east, if your descendants are gonna be free? I just, intellectually, nobody, you can't explain that to me.
And you're gonna say they were slaves for life. Or in the East.
I'm telling you, what happened west happened east.
No, it did not.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna check.
Well, just because you say it, don't make it so, right?
I'm just saying that's why we're gonna discuss it next week.
So we're gonna discuss it next week. Well, yep, we got time. That'll be our last week. Then we got to get into Women's History Month.
All right. Well,
okay.
I guess Grandpa Uncle Pooh Bear gave their final thoughts. Auntie, what's your final thoughts? What's your final thought today, Auntie?
Boy, these Freddie Taylors or something. I forgot we were here, Joshua. I'm just like,
I didn't want to mess it up.
That's how I was last week, though. Last week, I was quiet.
You see, I didn't even try to say anything. Just let them have at it.
They were dropping gems. I just moved off the way.
It's just like, go for it, y'all. So, yeah.
Well, but all I can say, was the worst history in the history of the world here in the United States. This was the worst.
I don't think you can.
I mean, if you had a son or daughter down through the centuries, they was all slaves. But you check and find out that was not so in the East.
All right, well, we're gonna figure that out. We're gonna have the Freddie Showdown. Who's right? Next week. That's what I think I'm gonna name that the name of the episode. Who was right? But I guess that's my final thought. This was a very entertaining show, especially
Chris didn't even get to finish. I thought,
especially near the end.
What's I thought?
Oh, okay, I think you gave your thought again. I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Y'all chumps.
Yeah, that's enjoyable though.
I defer to 92.
You didn't see Grandpa that he didn't get energized. He drank his green tea today. He didn't have no beer.
Look here.
Wasn't nothing hazing up his mind.
But I gotta say this though, you lucky it's just green tea, because if it was some liquor, he'd have been cursing today, because he got fired up. He'd have dropped some shit bombs and all damn bombs and all that. So the fact that he just had green tea today is what kept it. That don't even look like green tea. Pops, that's sweet tea.
Green tea.
That's green tea. That look like sweet tea.
Iced tea. I had some green tea. Maybe I bought the wrong one up.
That's iced tea, Pops. That's not green tea.
Well, green tea can be iced tea too, can't it?
Green tea can be iced, but that's like regular sweet tea.
You're just making anything arbitrarily what you want it to be today, Grandpa. That's fine.
Do you see green tea on that, Pops, or does it say iced tea?
They say iced tea. Well, I bought some green tea, so maybe it's still downstairs.
All right. Well, you know what? My final thought today is reading is fundamental. Grandpa thought he had green tea. I thought I had lost Pilates. So we're gonna end it at that. We'll see you guys next week.
Love y'all.
To see who's right.
Yeah. The show